Oh, snap. Look who got an intro, episode 18. Here we go, Contra-Dictions. I say, we got my boys with us tonight. We got a lot to talk about. We got some all things Dr. Fauci. We got the CDC under fire from their employees. We got the Redskins changing the name. And we got a few other things to talk about. So let's bring our boys in right now. What do you say, Glenn? What do you got for us, boss?
What's going on? We got the Redskins. No, it can't happen. They're not changing the name. But I get it. I totally get it. And I know we're going to dig into that. We got Trump, Dr. Fauci. They're bickering. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on. So, yeah, looking forward to getting into it. What's going on with you guys? Kenny?
Bring in Kenny. Where's he at? There he is. What's up, Kenny?
What's up, guys? Looking forward to this discussion. It's going to hit some Corona tonight. Some discussion about Fauci. Going to touch on is the CDC racist? And then go into the old hail to the
Redskins.
We'll see. And I got some interesting points on that one. I think it's going to make it a little bit interesting tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's get right into it, man. Let's start with the Dr. Fauci stuff, right? The doctor says one thing, then he says another. He's been covering his ass pretty good lately. I think he might even be a politician. He's learning well.
Yeah, well, we've got Dr. Fauci. We've got the White House attempting to discredit him. We've got Trump attempting to discredit him as well. Again, I'm glad that you said that out of your mouth, Fred, because Dr. Fauci, pretty much everything that he said has come true up until this point. I know that the White House is trying to say that they're trying to lessen the number of deaths and everything. There was a significant decline in the number of deaths, coronavirus-related deaths. Now, especially over the past 2 days, there's actually been a spike in deaths. So deaths have gone up over the past 2 days, and they're actually on the chart starting to sort of mimic the amount of new cases, not in terms of numbers, but just in terms of percentage of increase. So as of right now, just to be clear, we're at 136,000 deaths. And we've got certain states. I know everybody's heard of Florida right now, reporting over 15,000 new cases in one day. There's a lot to talk about here. I know Trump is actually talking about, and of course, his main excuse is that, hey, well, we're doing more testing, therefore it creates more cases. The testing doesn't create the virus. The testing just exposes what's already there. So whether you were testing or not, and we've actually checked, testing has been pretty consistent all across the board for the past almost month now. Testing all across the board. Most states are testing at the same number of capacity daily. So it's not like there's just been this increase in amount of testing. So testing has been consistent. And what we're actually starting to see now is that about 20% of coronavirus people that come in contact with the coronavirus get hospitalized. That is a big number. Like 20% is not small at all. And to get hospitalized, and I know we've got I know a number of people, several people actually that have had caught the virus, and including Kenny. And I know you got to be pretty messed up to be hospitalized. They're not just hospitalizing anybody. So that's the one thing about this virus that's crazy, is that it can jump from animal to human, no problem. It spreads relatively easily, and it's constantly mutating. Now, I know we did talk in a previous episode where we had the doctor on about it mutating and becoming a weaker strand. As of right now, it seems like it's mutating and becoming stronger. Dr. Fauci actually came out and recommended that certain states that are going through this surge, this sudden spike or increase in new cases, should maybe consider reclosing again. I know that's obviously up for debate, but I would probably have to agree because and I'll pull up a chart in a little bit. I want to see what Kenny's take on things are, but the chart that I have actually says it compares the United States number of new cases compared to all of Europe new number in corona cases, and you just see and I'll put it up here. You just see the Europe cases going down and U.S. cases going up, and part of me kind of feels like Trump has really been trying to downplay it because all he's thinking about right now is his political career and himself, and he has a very self-serving and self-centered sort of way about him in general. He's not really thinking about the people. Why would you not listen to a doctor or any other scientist? But I'll leave that for now, and we'll see what Kenny's got going on there.
Man, that was a 5-minute diatribe there.
Yeah, it was a mouthful, man. Yeah,
there's a lot of different stuff to react to there. That's the only problem with going long is there's certain things that. So first of all, Fauci's been wrong a whole bunch. I have video upon video upon video. I'll send it to Fred. We may play one.
Hey, don't be playing those videos from back in January and February.
No. See, here's the problem. You're either right or you're wrong. And here's the thing: is that we've in this country we're so politicized by the media. For instance, the media is reporting on this. The media says all-out campaign against Dr. Fauci. Wrong. Washington Post asked because Donald Trump, here's the thing, is that first of all, let's get something clear. The governors are responsible for the states. This is the United States of America. The governors are responsible. We'll get to that in a minute. But let's step back from that. As a leader, okay, Donald Trump was ahead of the curve when it came to Dr. Fauci did not want to stop travel. Trump did. Trump was right about, most people agree he was right about that, okay? Then let's just go through some of the things that Fauci, first of all, Fauci said that this was no big deal. You did not need a mask. If you should feel comfortable going on cruises. He said that compared to currently, it's, as long as it doesn't get here and if we can just try to control it, it could be just a bad flu. Wrong again. Then he would try to talk about what models to use. Then he would switch the models that he would use. Now, look, I'm not saying Dr. Fauci is an idiot. The problem, as we've talked about before, people don't know what this is. I mean, as soon as just today, they talked and they still don't know how long it holds in the air. They still don't know that. This is today. They don't know how long it stays on infected surfaces as of today. They do not know. They know the virus is found in stool, blood, semen, and other secretions, but they can't figure out the transmission between them. They do not know yet whether animals can transmit it and get it to a human. That is from today. There's the SARS-CoV transmission from Dr. Fauci. And this is all from Dr. Fauci. So I know Glenn does his work. Glenn just said that it can go from human to animal, which means he's got the information that's different than Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci, it's funny that Fred said he could be a politician because that's pretty much what he's been for the last 40 years. He hasn't seen a client. So I'm not saying he forgets about infectious diseases. He does know. Here's the problem. He made so many wrong assumptions early that now he's very, very conservative with when he talks about the charting and stuff. So of course, for him as a doctor, it's kind of like the difference between whether I think we should start high school football and whether the Board of Education thinks if one kid dies, I know that 300 will end up killing themselves. And I know that over 115 will probably die of pneumonia this year. But the first death that comes from COVID-19, the Board of Education is going to have to answer for. There's going to be lawsuits. It's going to be a train wreck. So they're going to err on the side of caution, and that's what Dr. Fauci's doing. And that's very difficult versus Trump when Trump understands big picture for the country. For the country, we've got to reopen. I mean, there's way more positives than negatives on this. And if you want to look at each state, you can go over the top 12 states. Democrat, 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 Democrat. So maybe the top 12 are all Democrat states. New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. Or sorry, my bad. Massachusetts is a Republican. Rhode Island, but it's a very liberal state. Democrat, D.C., Louisiana, Michigan, Illinois, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. So those people have got to take the lead in their own states, just like the one in Georgia has, Kemp. And that's why Kemp is going to get, that's why he just got elected. He'll probably get reelected on it. And so shutting these things down also, and COVID was going to be our next section. So I was trying to stay just on Fauci. But on the COVID side, in terms of the numbers, if you're looking at the numbers in terms of the whole country, then yes, that's correct. But if you look at each state, there's only 5 states that went up. Only 5 that were incrementally, like, yes, there was 3 other ones. No, 4. There's 4 other ones that went up, but those are going from like 6 deaths to 9 deaths, which is a little bit different than going 135 deaths to 155 deaths. So your actual states of major increase issues, which I would be okay if the governors of these specific states wanted to take certain actions. Florida, Arizona, California, Texas. The 4 that have a increase in deaths, the 4th is Tennessee, Alabama, Arkansas, and South Dakota. They all also had a spike, but they're the only 9 countries out of 50 plus 1 because of DC, the only ones that have had a spike.
State. You said countries.
Oh, my bad. States.
I know what you meant.
Okay.
So
okay, cool. So, all right. So a lot to chomp into there. So really quick, Donald Trump and Fauci, they both, and just to be clear, and I'm assuming there's been pure breakdown between the 2 of them because President Trump hasn't spoken to Donald Fauci since June 2nd. In the middle of a pandemic, do you know how crazy that is to not speak to your #1 health advisor in over a month, 6 weeks to be exact? That's absolutely crazy. But again, so Fauci has came out and said, I mean, and it's pretty much the same thing because you're right. He has been playing it conservative. The reason why he's been playing it conservative is because Fauci says, and I quote, "I have a reputation of speaking the truth at all times and not sugarcoating things. And that may be a lot of the reason why you haven't seen me on TV much lately." So
I got a question then. He said a month and a half ago, almost 2 months ago now, he said that the number will be closer to 60,000 than it is to 100. How many people have died?
136,000.
So he was way wrong. So why did he lie? Or was he just wrong?
He didn't lie. He didn't lie. So, and kind of going back to the first quote that you had said that he had made when he was saying that, you don't have to wear masks and this and that. He actually said that the last time he said anything remotely close to that I have is February 21st. That was a little bit early. The country hadn't even shut down yet. The country shut down around like March 13th. So again, that's why I was saying, don't quote me something from January, February, because it was the beginning. This is the pandemic. I'll give Fauci a pass. Just like I'll give Trump a pass. Just like I'll give Trump a pass. So
let's talk about what he's gotten right.
So yeah, okay. So in terms of what he's gotten right. So again, and then not only that, but I just want to point out too that he even came out again and said that his family's been getting threats. He's been getting death threats.
Yeah.
He's been being harassed. The whole deal. So this is kind of crazy. In Trump's America, for speaking the truth as a scientist, as a doctor, you could potentially have Trump's
He is a doctor, but he doesn't see clients. Let's just be clear.
Yeah, but he definitely is no dummy. I mean, he's been through 4 presidents, 6 terms, and he's seen his fair share of pandemics from SARS to AIDS. So
5 presidents. Forgot.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, Reagan.
Reagan. That's my God. Yeah, he's been around for a long
81,
time.
84. He came in 84.
So this is the thing. I just look personally. If you look at Trump's record, I wouldn't be taking any advice from him when it comes to the safety of myself or my family. I mean, this is a guy that told people to shoot bleach in their veins. Pretty much.
No, he never said that.
Disinfectant.
So didn't say that.
This is absolutely insane.
That's the problem.
The disinfectant works really well with this. But no, again, but just to get we know what he said. We know what he said. I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, he pretty much told people to shoot disinfectant in their veins.
No.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
I wouldn't say what he said. What he said was, he said there's people working on it right now that if you could figure out a way to get disinfectant to kill it. He never told anybody to put disinfectant inside of him. And then they shoot him out for that. And they said the same thing about flashing light. And he was 100% right on the flashing light. So I noticed you didn't bring that up because that's actually what they were working on. So he didn't tell anybody to. It's not, first of all, Trump's not going to tell me what to do with my family anyway.
UV rays, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, is that I want And I want a president that is going to be positive. He is going to be positive. I do want one that tells the truth as well, but it depends whether or not it's hyperbole or whether they're lying to me. So
let me ask you a quick question. Why does he continue to minimize it? Because again, what you've said about Fauci was all things that he did in the beginning. I'll give Trump a pass. We're in the middle of a pandemic, but a lot of things now have been right, especially since the end of March going into April.
Name one thing Fauci said that's correct.
That Dr. Fauci he reassessed his so you brought up the death toll. He actually thought that by August it would be somewhere around 100. I think it was like a little under 180,000. So as of right now, if it stays that way, it's possible. Like if things continue to rise,
you said what numbers?
I think it was like a little under 180,000. It was like 178,000.
By when?
He said by August, September. So, in a little over a month, I would say. That to me sounds a little bit high, but I think better to err on the side of caution than anything with this point, because at the end of the day, I mean, look, people can say whatever. We all know people that have gotten the disease. The thing about this disease, guys, that I want people to realize is that you just don't know what you can get. For some people, there's no symptoms. For other people, there's death. So it's like it's playing Russian roulette. It's like you don't know what you're going to get. We've talked about it mutating into a weaker strand. As of right now, it seems like it's mutating into a stronger strand. So why would you want to play with that? I mean, yeah, you might not get something.
Without a vaccination or a cure, without either one of those, are we just going to just shut down and not do anything until we get that?
Again, and Dr. Fauci, again, he didn't say the entire country shut down or the entire global economy shut down. But I do think, based on what he said, he did say that the states that are having those surges should consider a second shutdown. Now, what that would be in terms of time, I have no idea. But another thing that I did want to kind of just touch on really quick is if states do shut down, we're talking about, people are going to need a stimulus check. People are going to need something. And I know he was talking about trying to get a stimulus signed before August 13th, if I'm not mistaken. It was either the 3rd or the 13th. But that $1,200 that came for people, I'm sure didn't really do too much. That was several months ago. And, it doesn't, I just don't know what people are going to do. It doesn't matter to me either way. I understand economics a little differently, so I'm not necessarily for a stimulus, although I do think people need some sort of help of some sort. Kenny?
Well, just to be clear, stimulus is not to help. So when people say that,
the economy.
To stimulate the economy. It is not to help people. To help people is the money for the increase for people that are having
unemployment is delayed right now.
Unemployment increase, those types of things. So I did want to bring up this chart. Okay, this is the deaths in America. So it's real selective to say it's spiking or anything now. Now it was going down, and this did go up. Okay, but let's take a look at the cases. Okay, so when people are comparing the cases and saying it's you had said that it was a stronger strand. I would argue that it definitely is not a stronger strand because we have a vast amount since June 20th. Our cases have been rising, but yet the death rates have not been drastically going up, as I just showed. And again, it's 5 states in which it has peaked. So in terms of Fauci, if Fauci, wants to recommend certain states, and if they want to discuss those states, then I think on a state-by-state basis, the governor can make certain recommendations, as they should. This is a governor issue. Trump did the right thing in restricting travel. That is a Trump thing. When you're dealing with other countries, that is a Trump thing. When you are dealing with state issues, the state governors have got to take some responsibility, and they've got to lead by example. Like I just showed, if you're looking as a whole, obviously the death rate's going down. It had a little blip up. We'll see if that continues. Now, the cases, Trump was right about the case increase is in large part due to the amount of testing. We test way more than other countries. One of the things that I wanted to point out is, we talk about other countries against us in terms of, this country did this or this country did that. Well, let me tell you this. Italy, okay, Dr. Fauci said that we were going to be similar to Italy. That's the way he saw it planning out. Italy has 400% more cases than we have. Our death rate, 400% higher death rate than we have. Okay? France, that's Italy. France has almost 500% higher death rate. So we're at 0.04. Italy's at 14%. France is at 17%. UK is at 15%. Spain is almost 10%. I didn't cherry pick these. I just went straight through the line. I kept going until I found the one that was lower than ours, which is Brazil is tied with us and India beats us by 1 percentage point. And so we're doing a great job. We are a very complex country that people love to visit. I think more people come here way more than go to Germany, Brazil, or visit India. Now, more people live in India, but the percentage of our death rate is very good, very good. So our first responders should be, congratulated. People going and getting themselves checked out should be congratulated. The things now, Trump says he saved X amount of lives. The way the liberals argue it, maybe he did save 1 million lives. I don't buy all that because, again, I don't see it re-spiking the same way. But it's going to re-spike again at some point because it's going to be cyclical, according to the doctors. But it's very hard for me to even believe the doctors because Fauci also said that when it got hotter out, this thing was going to evaporate. It's gotten hotter. We're at the hottest point of the year so far, and the cases are going up. So it's very hard for me to believe anybody. Fauci or any of these doctors, and it comes back to what we talked about one time off screen, which is they don't know crap about this thing. And they're shooting darts and they want to be right, but they don't know. Now, you could say we don't know, so we should do nothing. You could say we don't know, so we should shut down everything. But I have videos that I watched today of last thing that Fauci was talking about. If we really did a good job of shutting down for 3 weeks, it would be done. Well, we actually did. People say you didn't. We did. The data all came back. As in a nation, we were asked to shut down, and we pretty much did. The cell phone, charts, which is disturbing on a libertarian front. We'll talk about that at some other time. I didn't like this, but it showed the dots and the hits from certain cell phones. The only people who didn't quarantine well, guess what? 65 years old and older. Everybody else did. Now, some of them might not have cell phones that glitch that way, but go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, man. So, at this point, I do think you have a point there. A lot of people don't know much at all about. We've had doctors on. This is the thing, and I just want to ask you this. So, would you rather trust Dr. Fauci or would you rather trust Donald Trump? You don't think it's a little bit
hold on.
disingenuous?
I'm going to answer that because that's a silly. So that was a New York Times poll today, and it was
because he keeps downplaying the whole thing.
It's a silly argument. I trust to run the. Well, no. I'm going to tell you why it is. And it 100% is because he's not coming to my house to check out my infectious disease. Who would I rather come to that hospital room when I had COVID-19? I'd rather talk to Dr. Fauci. I want Donald Trump running America. That's why I want running America. That's why I want running America again in 2020. I feel like he's done a fantastic job. And so for me to run the country, I want Donald Trump. When it comes
the point that
to
I never
listening
got
to Donald Fauci, I want to hear Fauci, but I'm not going to necessarily, first of all, think he's right because he's been wrong a whole bunch, but I'm going to respect his opinion as a doctor, so I have no problem with hearing him. And Trump has heard him a lot because he's on the TV every day.
Well,
Internet,
Dr. Fauci hasn't been on the TV months.
He has been on the internet every single day for the last
you can put
4
him
months.
on the internet, but he hasn't been on TV. He hasn't been in any press conferences. He's essentially
more people watch YouTube than watch TV.
He's essentially been hushed, I would say, since mid-April. He really hasn't done much television at all.
I think,
that's what he said. He literally just came out. So
Trump is not trying to deny that this thing is going on. He's trying to encourage people to understand, hey, look, we need some optimism. We need to get this thing going again. He's not trying. He's downplaying it for a purpose. Whether it's right or wrong, he's downplaying it so everybody starts to believe it is going away. Is that the right thing to do? Sugarcoat something? I don't know.
I don't think he's.
No.
I think. Well, it depends because first of all, I think what he's doing is right. 100. Yes,
He's definitely
I think
downplaying
it
this
is.
thing.
So I feel like at this point, if we don't know whether it's going to go up or down, and we've seen what we've seen so far, there 330 kids killed themselves. Or sorry, 330 kids 14 and under killed themselves. Okay, in 2017. To me, I would love this. Not love because it's gonna be sad, but I will bet you the suicide number, and they've already said the suicide numbers are higher, but you have to wait to the end of the year to go numbers, blah blah blah. So I can try to get some numbers for what they have, but people being crammed in their house is not good. People having their businesses shut down is not good, and there's not a whole lot of evidence that it's helped. We don't even know. So to me, I err on the side of personal responsibility. I'm always going to err on the side of that. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't want to go out, don't go out. But to shut down, no. And remember, Trump doesn't make the decision. The states make the decision. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the states definitely make the decision, and thank God, because Trump, I wouldn't trust him to make the decision for my pet hamster. I mean, seriously. So I just want to be clear here. You know, over the past 2 weeks, there's been more spikes, there's been more cases, and there's been more deaths than anywhere else in the world here in America.
More people.
I mean, of course, we have more people, but at the end of the day, that's still, look, Trump.
Not percentage-wise. Our death rate is 4 times better than most of the countries you can look at. I mean, there's very, very few countries with better death rates than us. Very few.
Now, not now.
Now. These are numbers from today. From today. U.S. death rate, 0.03977. Italy's, that's 4%. Italy's, 14%. France, 17%. UK, 15%. Spain, 10%. Germany, 5%. Everybody says Germany did a great job. There's higher than ours, their death rate.
Did we get that chart?
Brazil, 4%. Yeah, I can bring it up.
I sent it to, I think I sent it to Freddie.
Oh, hold on. Go ahead and bring up whatever chart, Fred, that he was talking about.
Yeah, no, because it just talks about the United States in comparison to to European countries, and how the cases have gone up tremendously in comparison to most other countries. And that's because, yes, in the beginning, Fauci was wrong a lot. This was the point that I was trying to make. Fauci was wrong a lot, as was Trump. Now, what we're actually starting to see is now that the new cases have gone up. I mean, especially since all the rioting and the protests, we've seen an increase in new cases. Now the deaths are starting to catch up, especially over the past 2 days. I don't think anybody is disputing that. What I'm saying is, literally just 3 days ago, you had Trump. Trump did that interview with Sean Hannity, where he goes on Hannity and he's saying, you know, you don't need a mask anymore. This thing is just going to disappear. He started wearing masks himself as he's saying that you don't need to. I mean, did you see the interview with Sean Hannity?
No. When he was sitting down or over the phone?
Over the phone. It was 3 days ago.
Yeah, I listened to that one.
Yeah, so he literally was saying, you know, this thing is going to just disappear. That 99% of cases don't need to be hospitalized. Where I don't know where he got that number, and I'm thinking he might have got that number because Dr. Fauci actually did say that about 1%.
That's correct. 99% of people do not get hospitalized by this. That's correct. That's a fact.
No, it's about 80%. 80% don't get
hospitalized. No.
20% of people get 20% of people that get new cases of the coronavirus get hospitalized. And I can pull up another.
Those are people that have the symptoms. If you're symptomatic, 80%.
They're not even. Well, it just depends. It depends
almost
on your age.
It's 40 to 45% of non-symptomatic, according to Dr. Fauci today. That's what Dr. Fauci said earlier today. He said between 40, which is, again, it's amazing to me that we don't have more precise numbers because I'm a numbers person, but 40 to 45%. And so to me, I just looked at it like, oh, if our, and again, you know, I think there's another level to it when you talk about hospitalizations. To me, that's kind of a cop-out for, I get where people are coming with that argument, but there's a difference between being in a hospital and having ICU beds. ICU beds are a lot harder to get a hold of than hospital rooms. So again, I think there's some argument to be made for California. But I'll
And
tell
I don't
you,
like talking about hospitalizations either, because I mean, ultimately with hospitalizations, I mean, just like, for example, I know there were a lot of cases in Alabama where you had hospitals that were being full in these rural areas because they're smaller areas. So then they're sending them down to the bigger cities, which makes the hospitalization rate go up anyway. So I don't really like to talk about hospitalization either.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I would always push back against any, hey, it's a nothing, right? COVID's something. I mean, I had it. It's been something, and it's funny because early on, I said that I think it's going to fall between flu and pneumonia, and then I got pneumonia because of COVID. So it ended up being, COVID. I don't think COVID itself, I don't know what COVID did to me, but because it was just basically that it wasn't any different really than the last time I would say it's a little bit more severe than the last time I got pneumonia. So I don't know what the difference was in there. It was almost like a bad whipped cream topping on top of your crappy situation. But I don't think that, I mean, we'll see, but it's the cases have been spiking for over 3 weeks, in close to a month, I believe, when I was looking at, and so to me, I go, well, is the death rate going to catch it going this way? Because the cases are going so high. And I don't necessarily think so. I mean, we'll see. We don't know. But
Yeah.
because the cases really shot up. I mean, the cases are twice what they were back in April. So, and
Right.
they spiked on, so it's June 22nd. So we're 3 weeks. Okay, I was right the first time. So 3 weeks. And we'll see. There was a little blip in the death count. We'll see if this is going to be round 2, because as that doctor that came on our show said, this thing is going to morph into something else. But the bottom line, and this is where I agree with Trump and not Fauci, is what's the answer? And to me, the answer is personal responsibility. I don't want to give the responsibility to the government. If they want to have a place and I want to go, then wear masks. If you don't wear a mask and you go get sick, when I got sick, that's on me. That's my fault. And this whole, well, what if you give it to your kid? Your kid goes to your grandmother. The grandmother goes to the other grandmother. Well, then your grandmother might not want to be around little kids. Or before that little kid comes in contact with your grandmother, they should have to wash down, all that stuff. There's no easy solution to it. But it's very hard for me not to see the politics in this when the economy was on an all-time roll, and then this happens, and then we have people going, well, let's not open it. It's like, well, what's your answer? Oh, well, we just got to hold off until the vaccine. It's like, well, we don't even know if
You're going to be holding off for a long time.
Yeah, and we talked about it early where people were saying 1 year, and we were talking about it where we were saying, yeah, right. Like, and I disagree with Trump saying it's going to be that fast. Those things sometimes take 2 years. And when you first get it, you're not going to get it right. I mean, and it's hard to believe in a vaccine when I'll bet dollars to doorknobs that I will bet you that there will be a Fauci cut check towards whatever investment he made in these vaccines. Now, I'm not saying if I wasn't him, I wouldn't do it. And that's another video for another day where we get into how politicians and congressmen, I don't think any of them people.
Somebody's going to make a lot of money off of this. Absolutely.
Hey, so Glenn, I'm
not against it. I'm a capitalist. I'm not against somebody making money off of it. I just think it should be Glenn and not Anthony Fauci. Hey, everybody take this vaccine, and then every time I get paid on it, minor conflict of interest.
Yeah, a little bit. So, Glenn, I got your screenshot you wanted up. Do you want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, I just wanted to show Kenny because you can see right here, so clear as day, State of the Union. So
those are new cases. Yeah.
So exactly. So these are new cases. Spikes are going up, and again, we're finally starting to see percentage-wise the death rate is starting to mimic the new cases. So, more needs to be done. What exactly that is, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a talk show host. But this is real stuff. Like, this is the thing. I think it's a little disingenuous for Trump to go on Sean Hannity and continue to push this narrative like this thing is just some sort of a hoax. It's just going to disappear. It's going to go away. 99% of people don't need to worry about it. That is not the right message. Like,
I think he's trying to not inflict fear across the country that we're all going to die from this.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that's an extreme. That's an extreme, and I don't think he needs to go on TV and say, "Hey, you know, we're all gonna die." I don't believe that.
He should be the beacon of light.
Yes. When the president speaks, it's important, and he needs to be the beacon that is speaking. Yes, you know, this thing is dangerous, as we all know. Now we know people that have had it, but you know, we still need to continue to because people keep saying the second wave. The first wave never left. It never went anywhere. You know, death started to they took a down toll, but new cases never went anywhere. So, and now deaths are starting to pick up.
They did.
They went down for like a week. They went down for like a week.
I can pull.
It wasn't anything crazy. But yeah,
you're correct. There was not a collapse for sure.
Yeah, and there wasn't a. I mean, I guess we thought it peaked at that time because it kind of evened out. And this was right around the time George Floyd got killed. It was like that same week. And then, you know, it just has been going back up from there. And obviously the protesting and things like that, I'm sure that didn't really help it much. But I'm gonna be more in favor of people protesting and dying for something that's right than shoot myself in the mouth here, instead of just, you know, sitting around and not and continuing to keep quiet in the name of racism. So
well, there's been way more people who die of COVID-19 than blacks murdered by unarmed blacks murdered by police this year. I guarantee you that.
Absolutely.
So I think there's better ways to do it. I'm not against
a death well deserved.
See, not if it's your mom, not if it's my mom, not if it's Fred's. You know, like, I don't know, not to me. So again, and we can have that debate for another day. But the thing is first of all, that other picture that he had up about new cases, that's concerning. But I do think context matters. And I think people have to understand that the United States is very different than a lot of these countries. Those countries, first of all, some of them are 1/15 the size of the United States. They all got it at the same time there. It really was. Bang, 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 bang. Here, believe it or not, even though America is like 10 big cities, essentially. So it has to move to those cities. And then once it gets in that city, if you go and look, and I did, and if you go look at those 9 places that it spiked, you know what you don't see? You don't see a collapse, nothing, and then a spike in most of them. You do see that in Texas, and you do see that not in Florida. In Florida, you go back and look at Florida. What's funny is, you actually look at Florida
had took a dip.
No, it started low. And so this is just kind of par for the course. I can pull it up. In Florida,
15,233 in one day. I wouldn't say that's par for the course.
No. What I'm saying right now is that this is, well, I mean, how many did you think were going to come out of Florida? I mean, Florida's one of our there's a lot of people that go to Florida. I've certainly been there. There's lots of people vacationing there. To have a high peak, I would have assumed it would have been this high.
When this thing first kicked off, we all saw all those damn beaches where kids were partying and having fun.
Right. I mean, here we go. We'll go ahead and why is it not letting me share a screen? Here we go. Hopefully I won't screw it up. I'm not the most tech savvy of us. Okay, so this is the Florida chart right here. This is it. This is the cases. So you notice there was like no cases. So then you go, oh, okay, we're up here at 12,000 cases, but you go you compare this in New York, and then
right there,
and then you look at the. Oh, sorry, you want to know what date it's? So it's funny. June 10th. I think when Dr.
saying that it was flattening out, so they had to spike it.
Well, I just think it was funny because Dr. Fauci and other doctors had all talked about how it gets hot and it was going to kill this thing, and yet here are the cases in July. So now here's the deaths. Okay, so if you look at the deaths,
or over 100 degrees,
you look at the deaths in Florida. Yes, there's a spike. Okay, there's definitely a spike, But when you look at all of them, right, this whole time right here, it was even. So this is the first time that this is going through the process. The first time. So this is not somewhere where it dropped, which if you look at Texas, that is a far better example of, let's go ahead and pull Texas up real quick, and I'll show you guys how Texas is different, because Texas actually had a drop. I mean, Texas has the most counties of it's pretty so annoying today. I was doing this on my phone. So actually here, no, so maybe it wasn't Texas. Nope, it wasn't Texas. To see Texas, same thing. Here. And then boom, hits June 16th. Okay. And then it comes up. So then when you look at the death rates, boom, and then it hits up. You go to the 7-day moving average, there's definitely a spike here. But again, these are places that it had not, and those are the two worst ones by far. And my point is that some of these places it hadn't hit yet. So now that it's hitting, okay, I'm not saying they shouldn't do things, that governors of those areas should take some ownership of those areas and say, hey, this is what we've got to do, okay? But those areas have got to understand that this is the first time it's going through. This is not where
I was going to say, can you pull up the chart for New York really quick, or New Jersey, any one of those states?
Yes, I definitely will, because those, it's amazing to me, those should pretty much not have any restrictions. I mean, they don't have any problems anymore. I mean, here you go. Let's go to New York. Let's look at their, I wouldn't say no problems, but compare it to what it was.
I wouldn't say no problem.
So here you go. So this is them.
Share it.
Just like, I don't know if you heard today, New York had 0 cases today, just in case anybody didn't hear that. That came out today. So
boom.
Look at that. I mean, and then if you go down and look at the death emulates it, right?
Right.
Now,
so that's what I wanted to talk about, because if you actually look at all the charts for all the states, even the ones that we just looked at, the death rate typically emulates. That's what I've been saying the whole time.
Only on the first time around. That's what I was looking at today. That's why I messed up. I thought it was Texas, but it must have been a different one. But in the ones that are spiking in Florida and in Texas, they're the only two. The other ones, like those ones, again, if people want to cut down certain stuff there, no problem with that. I think those death rates are real. The other ones were drops and spikes. And so to there, it's going to be a lot more having to do with people that are younger getting it, and the other people, because it's going to go through. It's very, very contagious. It's going to go through people. And so those two, though, I would agree with Glenn that those ones, you better think that those numbers are real. And especially in Florida, because Florida got a lot of old people. I don't know Texas as well. I lived in Florida. So, but
they both have young people too. I mean, they've got old and young. I mean, I know a lot of people retire in Florida, but there's a lot of young people in Florida too.
But to this point, I mean, and we talked about it, I think, off film the other day, but under the age of 15, okay, and actually between ages 4 and 15, there's only been 14 people that have died in the United States. 14. So you're way, you have
well, and that's why they're reluctant to test kids.
Die of pneumonia every year. So you're not even coming close to your pneumonia numbers, and your pneumonia numbers aren't as bad as your flu and bronchitis. You have 10 times the amount of people, a little bit less. It's like 9. It's like 120 people in 2017 between 5 and 14 died of pneumonia and bronchitis combined, or flu. So to kids, that is a much higher death rate, much more concern. Now, we don't know a lot, and maybe down the road, I've read some things about possibly affecting people's lungs and that kind of stuff. We don't know, but I just don't know how we're really going to stop it. I mean, I'm open to a suggestion.
Until we get that vaccine or cure, we're not going to stop it. It's going to be around.
And this is the thing too, guys. I mean, I know you had just talked about the mortality rate for kids, and that's why they're reluctant to test kids, because I mean, the kids, I mean, it's negligible at best.
Well, and they actually said they're not very good carriers. I don't know how the hell they know that, but they don't know anything else, and somehow they know that. But they said,
I don't believe shit, man. I'm telling you.
I just put this out there right now. I don't believe this shit because they've been wrong on everything. But they said that they're not very good carriers, which I'm like, you can't figure out how long it's been on a glass stove. How do you know? How do you know it's a kid? Because I will tell you guys this. When I got there, they go, how did you get it? Were you wearing a mask? I go, well, I wasn't wearing a mask. Like, well, where you been? It's like, I went nowhere. Like, I go out once every 2 weeks to like one restaurant, but it's like, but then I did go pick up some things at the grocery store, and then I did get gas. I mean, even when you live in the middle of nowhere, you're going to 15 different places a week. Like, you don't know where the hell you got it. Like, the questions is kind of silly. So when people respond to the statistics on that are going to be horse crap. But
yeah, man. Yeah. But that's, again, I just don't think that Trump should be making, not that he's making light, but he certainly is trying to lessen the blow. I mean, I know there's an election coming up, and I know he's, Trump, I mean, he's a popularist. We've talked about it before. He wants to be popular. He wants to be liked. And all in all, he wants
the economy back too. I think he believes he can get it turned around. There's going to be a point.
That's a strong suit. That's a strong suit. Like, all the positive numbers that he can tout during his presidency have something to do with the economy in one way or the other. And that's really his strong point. So he doesn't want the country shutting down. He doesn't want, and neither do I.
And he may not be able to save it with policies like, and I won't get into it long, but I'm kind of with you. I'm not a big fan of these, in Georgia, it's actually, we had our governor came out the other day and talked about it. It's very hard for us right now because a lot of these people won't go to work because they're getting too much unemployment because they're getting paid more on unemployment. So these things, have got to tally back, and it's going to frustrate some people. But to me, I am concerned. I am much more, one of the reasons why I'm a big Trump supporter of the way that he's running the country as opposed to his recommendations on doctoring is because if we can
make that clear,
if we can get things going again, I feel like his policy is going to be very good for the country again. We're going to see another jump. But if you can't just push this off forever, we are way too. We went into more debt now than Obama did, and I get why. But that first year, and to me, we better be cautious of this. Like, this money's not free, and this is borrowed from a country that we're not in a really good position with right now. And when to negotiate with China, you can't keep borrowing money from them. So I'm concerned about that.
Yeah, we're going to have to stop borrowing money from China eventually, and I think it's coming. That's one thing that I can say.
Hoping, but then this came up.
Well, and Trump is the first president in our time to put a tariff on all imports coming in from China. He's the first one to hit him with a small gut punch, and then all of a sudden we get a Chinese virus, as he would put it. So, I don't know. I don't really think that's much of a coincidence. But what people don't realize, and look, and I don't think I need to say I'm no Trump supporter in any way, shape, or form, but he is the first president in our lifetime to stand up to China. Only now that we have a $21 trillion debt to them, and he's the first one to ever put it. If Trump didn't put a tariff on imports coming in from China, China would essentially own America within the next, I would say, decade, 10 years. I mean, that's what financial analysts were saying. I mean, you're talking literally walking down Fifth Avenue and seeing a Chinese flag flying. So,
sorry not to cut you off, but the pharmacies, I mean, they owned so many parts of us that we don't even want to admit. I mean,
and that's the main thing too. We make zero medicine, none. We make none of our medicine, and not all of it comes from China, but like 99% of it does. Like literally, 99% of our medicine comes from overseas. So, that's.
Yeah. I don't think this will be our last conversation about COVID-related incidences or whatever moving forward. I'm sure we're going to have more to talk about, especially with Fauci and Trump. But having said that, let's move on to the CDC. I think, Glenn, you brought this up, so let's go with you starting it off. There was about a lot of animosity or racist sentiment that the employees were feeling, and they're being boisterous now. They're raising concerns. They're lashing out. What do you got for me?
Yeah, so the CDC, they came out, about 1,200 employees actually came out and said that that there was this overall, racial discrimination throughout the agency. And I'm trying to pull it up here really quick. there's been a few cases
Well,
where people have said that there's been, there's been discrimination in terms of pay, like there hasn't been equal pay for the same jobs. And there's only about 6% of African Americans that are in management or executive positions at the agency. 6%, that's pretty low. And so, we'll just start there with that, but employees are calling it out. Not really sure exactly what their end game is or what their end goal is, but they are calling out the racism. What do you got, Kenny?
okay, so for me, what I got is correlation and causation. So, there's, it was actually the 6% was this or 2019's class of epidemic intelligence servicing, which is the people that are dealing with the epidemic. And the argument that they made was that we're only hiring 6% of Black people to do this, but yet we're overrepresented in COVID cases. And so then I just think, look, if you want to bring up an incident of racism, by all means, bring it up, make your argument. I applied for government jobs, and they are largely either somebody hooks you up that knows you, or it's all computerized. So they had better prove that somebody was not taking names that were like, Shaquinta or something. But I'll tell you this, when I was in I did a lot of work with the government, and there's, I would love to know what the numbers are in the DC metropolitan area of government employees and the demographic percentages, because I know a lot of Black government employees. So this seems pretty nitpicked. It says 10% of senior leadership. That is underrepresented, but just barely. And so to me, that doesn't mean that it's racist. That could mean a plethora. It could mean it's racist, but it could also mean that how many people applied for the job, what percentage of people applied, what were their, were the white people veterans and the Black people not, if you look at, when you do all the breakdown of the numbers, because you get a little bonus point or whatever. If you're a veteran, you get a bonus point if you're a disabled veteran. So there's all these like little tier things that you do to get a government job. And then it's like a bunch of basically like hashtags in your, I'm joking, but it's actually serious. Like a friend of mine, this girl that I dated named Nadia, who was super awesome, but she would go through and she learned how to get government jobs, and her resume, like you'd look at it and laugh, but she could get any job she wanted because she knew all the right words, and each word has like it literally picks those words out, takes that application, and then does this with it if it has the words that you like. So it's very, very complex that way in a computer system, but it's also very simple that way once you figure it out. And Nadia was not white, and she could get any job. So so all I'm saying is that this may be an issue, but this is an issue that maybe they need to get some more data on so they can make a better argument towards, hey, if this is systemic racism, let's see it. Or are we just going, hey, every time there's not 12%, Indians and Asians are going to be overrepresented. I will bet you. And does it mean that they're holding back white people? No. Maybe they're just doing certain things I'm not. And I got to figure it out, and I got to step my game up. I don't know. Maybe it is, and if it is, we'll stand side by side and go bring guns up to the doors of the
up to the CDC.
Just kidding, federal government. Don't come get me. I don't have any guns.
Disclaimer, total joke. But yeah, I'm never going to disagree on the side of more data. So I agree with you there. Yeah, I'd like to see some more data on that for sure. Absolutely. Really quick, I know in a letter that was addressed to the CDC that was signed by 1,208 employees, it was directed to the director, Robert Redfield. This was back on the 30th of June. And the employees are just saying they, quote, call for change, especially in the backdrop of a coronavirus pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic's disproportionate impact on Black people and the killings of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Rayshard Brooks. And, this was in a letter that was addressed to the CDC. They also went on to say that in light of recent calls for justice across not only the country, but the world, we as dedicated public health professionals can no longer stay silent to widespread acts of racism and discrimination within the CDC that are, in fact, undermining the agency's core mission. So there's not really much detail in that.
Not much at all. Very little.
And
let me put this out there too, because this is an interesting point that I forgot to mention. Just so people know, there's almost there's a little over or 11,000 employees there. So you're talking about 11% of people that have signed this thing. Many of them anonymously. Now it's possible it can be anonymously because I don't want to piss anybody off. It's also that it could be anonymously because it's not they're not putting their name on it. But it seems to me
they have a concern.
It seems to me. Sorry,
I was saying if someone's raising the flag, then there's obviously some kind of cause for concern for a certain group of people. Whether that cause for concern is valid or not, that's what we have to get to.
Well, this person made the letter. I mean, they could, and again, I don't know, so I'm not saying this. I'm just saying, hey, look, the fact that they wrote it like they did, it sounded very, obviously in the woke community or whatever you want to call it, they're Black Lives Matter or some sort of, not the organization, the movement, which, okay, that's fine. And so they go to write this and it got 11% of the people that work there and a lot of anonymous. So it doesn't mean that it doesn't hold any value. If it's legit, just, I think, give more details. And if they give it, some details that perk the ears, but I think this is more like in the moment, we're just writing this because but I think people can find racism in every single job. So this same letter would not shock me if everyone starts doing this because they're trying to, it is a movement and, people feel disenfranchised. They're going to want to speak on it.
Well, and my thing again, too, is that, there's really not much detail in the letter at all. It talks about racism. I actually had to dig deep and I had to go to, it was weird. Not like a CDC archive, but it almost was like a CDC forum, just to find out what exactly they were talking about and some of the specifics that I mentioned earlier in terms of wage equality and things like that. But there really wasn't much meat on the bone in terms of the letter. I do know that the CDC spokesperson did come back and say that the director Redfield received the letter and responded to it. He said the CDC is committed to fostering a fair, equitable, and inclusive environment in which staff can openly share their concerns with agency leadership. I mean, of course, this is very vague. And
did you read in the last? So I don't know what you were able to find or not, but I found the actual document, and on the document, it says that Black representation in all senior leadership needs to be 25%. Which, if they're only making up 12, that's double their representation. So who are they going to leave out? Like, I just think setting guidelines like that is a bad trap. And I think, if whites are overrepresented by twice as much, I'll call it out. I mean, that seems like it would be fishy. So I don't know what the numbers are, but they specifically say in senior leadership, sometimes you got to earn senior leadership. I'm going to tell you what, you get into the government and you do your job, they will promote you. It is hard. There's a lot of bums that move their way up. So people can move their way up.
Yeah. I agree.
In the military, hence the first Black African-American female Navy pilot.
Yeah. You want to move up and you're good. You're going to move up and you're going to do well. So we want to go ahead and get to them. Hail to the
Boo.
Here we go. I don't know. Hail to the So Kenny, what the hell, man? This was a team for me. We didn't have Sunday ticket when I was a football fan as a kid, and I lived in Maryland. The only team I could watch every Sunday, guaranteed, was the Redskins. And damn it, if I didn't love watching them beat the Cowboys and the Eagles and the Giants. That was the greatest
all day, baby, all day. Cowboys taking that ass whipping.
Well, I will put this out there. One of the reasons I'm a Dolphins fan was because Dolphins were in the AFC East, and since the Ravens weren't in Maryland, they used to be on the TV a lot with Marino. So I used to be able to scope a lot of Marino. But it's funny because, and I don't remember whether we said it live or not, but we talked about before this started. I said, well, what are you going to do when they take away the skins? And Glenn said, they ain't taking away the skins. I'm not standing for it. And now here we are.
Well, and this is the thing, and I'll be honest with you.
Over.
So this situation really makes you think in a lot of ways, because I know, look, it's football and it's fun, but just think about this for a second, right? Look, I love the Redskins. We all love the Redskins. I am not really a fan of the name change. You know,
Right.
and it pisses me off to even think this in myself, because I'm like, oh, it's tradition. It's blah blah blah. It's all the stuff that people keep saying about the statues, right? So it's like, oh, is this the heritage? This and that. And it's like, yeah, but no, you know what I mean? So, but I understand it though. I do. I get it. And I support the Washington Redskins 100%. But now to be on the other side of it, because I really don't want the Redskins name to change. I'm sure there's some people that really don't want them statues to go. But I'm like, man, fuck them statues. You know what I'm saying?
But let me ask you this,
The
Glenn,
logo's
because
going too.
Right.
So Fred is a Colts fan. For those of you out there that don't know, I'm a Dolphins fan. Glenn's been a Redskins fan. We've all been these fans our whole lives. It's been kind of like, people know me as a Dolphins fan. I mean, that's just how it works. And so my question is two questions. One, where does this stop? But we'll get back to that one. And the first question I want to ask is, do you think, because I used to go, I mean, I've been to a lot of Redskins games. I've been to every Dolphins game in Redskins field for 25 years plus. So, and I've been to a lot of Redskins games. If people tell me I got tickets, I'm going. First of all, Redskins have an excellent fan base, okay? In any good game, I don't care if they're 3-13, there's going to be fans in the stadium, and they're going to stand most of the time. I got nothing but respect for Redskins fans. They love their team. And I believe there's going to be a mini civil war in the Redskins base between people that refuse to not wear Redskins gear and people that will start buying the new gear. And I also think that there will be people who, and it won't be on race lines, because let me just tell anybody who's never been to Redskins Park, there's a lot of black people out there, and a lot of them love their Redskins. I mean, deep-rooted, not going to be cool with a name change. And so all I'm saying is that it seems like there's going to be some, like the whole Hail to the Redskins song. Like, that's why I make the joke.
I know.
Dude, that's every 5 minutes. I mean,
dude, when they beat Denver in the Super Bowl, that's all I heard on Q107 the rest of the night. That's all they played for an hour.
So, I mean, do you see where I'm coming from, though, Glenn? Where I think there's going to be some people. Now, another thing is, how many people that have a real problem with the Redskins name are Redskins fans, are ever going to like the NFL, or even going to go to a game?
All right, so let's stop there. So in terms of people, this is the thing. Does the Redskins affect Native Americans, or is it offensive to Native Americans? I think the term Redskin in general, yes, and it was created to.
How many people have you ever
Native
heard
Americans
yell that at somebody?
Yeah, I've never heard anybody.
Never.
You Redskin? Like, I've never heard it, So, but again, that doesn't mean anything, because that's a fallacy, whether we've heard it or not, or anything. Look, it's not. That doesn't mean jack shit. You talk to a Native American.
Been to a lot of Redskins games. Never heard it.
And so I've never heard it either. And this is the thing. I actually did. I talked to a few Native Americans. I've personally spoken to some Native Americans, and I asked them about it. And I got to be honest. I didn't talk to not one single Native American that I spoke to. I spoke to 3, so not a lot. But they all were like, they didn't care.
Millers?
No, not Millers. No. But they said they didn't care. They said it didn't offend them.
I spoke to one too.
What did they say?
It said, I got the same response. The response I got was, "Hey, we've lost a lot of shit to America, but at least we had a sports team. Now you're taking that away from us too."
Well, and this is the thing, and again, and I do understand it, because the name Redskins, even though this.
It used to be a derogatory term. I wouldn't even say it's fair to say it's a derogatory term, because I've never even heard anybody use it in any fashion outside of the Washington football team. So,
and I think when because I mean, and look, and the Washington Redskins as an organization has a history of racism. I don't think it has anything to do with the name or the logo, though. Back when
they also had the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl, so I feel like they did kind of right those wrongs because I thought Redskins have been a very diverse team.
Absolutely, but they had to. They were the last team to allow blacks to play for them. And not only that, but they were also the last team to allow blacks to come watch their games. So it was just a lot of things there. But I don't think that has anything to do with the name. Yeah, that was a long time ago. I don't think that has anything to do with the name or the logo. What I'm trying to say is with the Redskins logo, or I guess with the name really, when they decided to name the team the Redskins, even though they were thinking of Indians, I think because look, we all know nowadays the term savage is a good thing. Like, yo, you're a savage, you're a beast, right? I think that that's what they were thinking of back then. My only question is, was savage a cool thing to be back then? Because I do think that they were thinking of Indians as these like ferocious warriors, these savages, if you will. And I know savage used to be a term.
Because you weren't going to name your team. I'm not going to say, of course, historically bad, but at that point, you're trying. It's almost like your team's the Sharks. You don't want to go swim with a shark, but you want to be on the Sharks. You know what I mean? You don't want to go play with a tiger, but you're on the Detroit Tigers, right? So being fierce and ferocious. So I mean,
So I'll be honest with you. I don't like it. I want my Redskins to stay Redskins. I think Kenny, you're spot on. I think that we're gonna have a little mini civil war in terms of some people that just refuse to change. I'm probably gonna be one of those old head people that's just like, man, I'm wearing my Redskins stuff. It's just, and I just bought a whole bunch of new Redskins stuff too. Like,
we got Dave.
Well, you gotta remember, all the people that have a problem with it are in the box suites.
We got Dave on
something that's not the game, so they won't see you. And the Bullets, for the record, because I thought this might come up, should have never changed their name. The Washington Wizards is the dumbest NBA name. At least they changed the colors back, because the Wizards, I've never met a wizard. I've been to Washington a bunch. I don't know any wizards. I've never seen a wizard museum. I don't think Harry Potter came from that. I don't even know where the hell they picked that stupid ass name from.
Right.
But we should go back to the Bullets tomorrow. I doubt it saved a life either, just to be clear. I don't think there was ever a person who's like,
you can find issue with any name, the Wizard.
Stupid.
I mean, come on, the Wizard.
Yeah,
the Wizards. The only wizard name you know is the Ku Klux Klan. And okay, now we got the Wizards.
What's funny is I didn't even think of that. But they should get rid of that name. Let's do something. The Wizards.
Leave sports. The Wizards, huh? The Grand Wizards. Yeah, okay.
White privilege. Oh my goodness, we got the Grand Wizards.
We got the Grand
That's what I'm saying.
So glad you brought that up, Fred. I'm writing an email.
I'd rather have Bullets, man. Go Second Amendment rights. Let's go.
I'm writing a strongly opinion letter. No. They're gonna burn my shit. You're gonna need to write a strongly opinion letter.
Let's go.
Where's the NRA at? I want my Bullets back.
No doubt.
Yeah, man. But what do you guys think the new Redskins name is going to be?
I mean, I think they're going to go.
This episode.
Oh, Fred must have missed it.
Oh yeah,
Fred's glitching. But I think it's going to be the Warriors.
The Warriors.
Yeah.
No, I'm here.
Yeah, no, we were saying I had asked him what he thinks the Redskins name is going to be. What do you think it's going to be, Fred?
Go ahead, Glenn.
You're glitching.
He's behind.
I think it's the Warriors.
You think it's going to be the Warriors? Yeah, I don't know what it's going to be. I think it should be the Redskins.
Yeah, I think this is not where it stops, man. This is not where it stops. And I mean, if it was a coalition of Indians that had an issue with it, I'd be all ears. It's like a whole line of white people lining up telling me, some black rights thing where I'm going, hold on a second. I just want to hear it out of one let me see somebody that, tells me this is real.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So I guess,
right.
here he is. All right, just in time to conclude us.
That's right. That's right. All right. So go ahead, Kenny. Start us off concluding statements here, brother.
Okay. First of all, as a Dolphins fan, I'm going to miss the Redskins. You know, that was my hometown. That was my home team when I was a little kid. Even though I didn't like them, I loved the Dolphins playing them. And I loved when they lost because then I could talk trash to my friends and make fun of their, calling them dead skins. I don't know. I guess that goes away now. So look, I'm always going to be against canceling things like this. And I'm going to tell you why. Not always. If it's severely racist, of course, but just realize that in the name of stopping racism, we've taken black people off syrup, taken Hispanic people off other labels, other black people off labels, and now we've taken an Indians group that a lot of them used to show up to the games. An Indian guy drew the logo for the Redskins. So now that you've whitewashed all of America, is it really anti-racism? Just something to think about.
Glenn, what you got, brother?
Oh, man. Well, thank you all for being with us tonight. Kenny, I like how you phrased that at the end. Whitewash, that's a term that I use. I wouldn't really use it in terms of getting rid of the Redskins name, but I like what you did there. That was kind of clever. So, really quick, we talked about the CDC a little bit and the employees there that have signed, about 1,200 employees that signed a letter that was addressed to the director of the CDC. The letter was just vague. I know we didn't really talk about it much because there really wasn't much to talk about. It didn't really say what kind of racism was being experienced, what kind of discrimination was being experienced. Again, I would like to see, some more numbers. I would like to see the amount of African Americans that are applying for these jobs and things like that. A lot of times people don't want to take little nuanced things like that into account when we talk about matters of race. Just for me as a business owner, I've got black and white employees, but I'll be honest with you, more white people have applied for the jobs than blacks. It is what it is. What can you do? But we've got the Redskins. They're changing their name. I am in disagreement of this, but I get it. I kind of feel like a hypocrite because I'm like, no, keep the name, but screw them statues. But I get it, and it's a tough place to be in. Again, just to loop back around full circle. Dr. Fauci, he has been wrong in the past. He's been right a lot in the recent present. And then we just have Trump that's continuing to minimize things. In my opinion, if you go back and watch that Sean Hannity, that Sean Hannity interview that he just did, he's just trying to act like it's nothing. It's just going to disappear and things like that. I think people should just be really careful of what they say and how they address it. I get being positive, but you just gotta. I wouldn't be telling people that it's just going to disappear. That is not the case. But with that being said, thanks again for being here. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Fred.
So yeah, like Glenn and Kenny are both saying, it's episode 18's in the books. We had Fauci talk, we had some Trump talk, CDC talk, and some Redskin talk. At the end of the day, hey, look, the COVID stuff's real. We know what's out there. It's trying to make a comeback. Just keep doing what you're doing. Wear the mask. Why not? I mean, just do it out of precaution. If not for you, for the other people around you. Wash your hands. Just take care of your personal area, and it'll take care of a lot more than you realize. And having said that, I wish the Redskins wouldn't change the name, but I get why they're changing the name. It just right now, this day and age, it's the thing to do, man. It's the new in. I mean, it's a movement, and everybody's jumping on board. So we're going to see a lot more than just the Redskins. So be ready for it. Your team's next. It's coming. Having said that, I hope you guys enjoy our little outro here. New to the team. Here it goes, boys. Episode 18. Stay safe.